हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, वेलकम बैक। आज हम पढ़ने वाले हैं वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड कंजर्वेशन ऑफ बायोडाइवर्सिटी। It is not only related to the syllabus, but along with that it is also related to the upcurrent issues that we are facing in the current scenario. So before moving to the slide, I would like to introduce myself. Hello, myself Vivek Thaure, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Zoology, BDMD College, Delhi. So, along with the teaching, it's our responsibility to teach the students, teach them about the various current issues we are facing, humankind is facing, along with that, animals, plants, and our earth is facing right now. And among the issues, the most important issue that we are going to study, we are going to know about it, that is climate change and conservation of biodiversity. In this session, first we will look about the contents. So before study, we have to look for the contents that we are going to study. It includes introduction, impacts of climate change on biodiversity, conservation strategy in the face of climate change, role of technology in conservation, global and local conservation initiatives, challenges and future direction, and conclusion. First of all, climate change. What is climate change? So climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature, weather patterns, and other atmospheric conditions on Earth. There is a shift, there is a change, but this change is not short-term. It is a long-term shift in temperature, weather patterns, and other atmospheric conditions on Earth. So this is called as climate change. So change in climatic conditions for a longer time, for a long-term shifts, it is called as climate change. So it such as human activities, we have given here human activities, also known as anthropogenic activities, such as burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas, which release greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. We all know that some sort of greenhouse gases, these are responsible in the to rise in the temperature. So this is mostly caused due to the human activities. Along with that, global warming is causing a variety of effects, including rising temperature, melting ice, extreme weather, ocean changes, impacts on biodiversity. These are different kind of effects we are facing right now, our earth is facing right now. First, we have to know what are the evidences, on which basis, on what basis we are going to say that climate is changing. So first, that is environmental impact. In this we will look forward about temperature extremes. More frequent and intense heat waves and cold spells, according to NASA, the last 8 years, 2016 to 2023, have been the warmest on record. Look at what it is saying. More frequent and intense heat waves and cold spells. Right now in India, it is a summer season and we are facing extreme hot weather, hot temperature right now. Even though we are sitting in the home, we feel like it's like burning sensation. So much heat is because of the rise in the temperature. So according to NASA, what does it implies? There is a more frequent and more intense heat waves and cold spells. So the heat, the temperature in the warmer season, for example summer, it is very high. It is approximately increased by 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. But along with that, in the winter also, the temperature is falling below the threshold line that it was previously observed. So even though in the winter the it is much colder as compared to the last decade. So it is the evidence that according to the NASA, the Earth's surface temperature has risen by about 1.1 degree Celsius. Among when the NASA studied the last 8 years, it has been found that the Earth global temperature is risen by about approximately 1.1 degree Celsius. So it is a huge rise in temperature. We might think that what will happen to if the 1.1 degree Celsius temperature is higher as compared to the last 8 years, but it is not that like that thing what we are thinking about. Rise in temperature by only 1 degree Celsius will cause a very drastic change to the ecosystem, to the livelihood of the animals, to the organisms, and also it will cause some sort of melting of glaciers, low precipitation, global warming. All these are changes may be caused due to the Earth's rise in temperature. We will look forward. We will talk about it later in the upcoming slide. Next, heat waves. Heat waves, we observe that when we go to some sort of places outside of our home, we feel like a warm wave of heat coming to us. It is a kind of heat wave. So we feel like we need to go to the shelter or need to go in the home to protect ourselves from the heat waves. So global heat waves are becoming more frequent. These are becoming more frequent. More times they are coming. More frequency is nothing but the time that is happening. It is happening more times. These are severe. Severe means danger and harmful and longer lasting. These are long lasting. In 2023, Europe, North America and parts of Asia experienced extreme summer heat waves that broke long-standing temperature records. Look at that. Europe, North America and parts of Asia. These are experienced extreme summer heat waves that broke long-standing temperature record. So I am representing this kind of study in front of you just not because I am going to tell some sort of information about it, but to make aware yourself and the community, the students and everyone that it is not related to our interpersonal or individual question. It is a global question that this rising temperature is causing heat waves, even though these heat waves are extreme. These are what we call as severe, and these are more frequent and longer lasting. So Asia, North America and Europe, these are facing some sort of issues. Heat related mortality rates are rising in many regions. So most of the time when the heat level or the heat stroke, what we call a heat stroke, because of heat stroke, most of the animal, most of the people are dying because of this heat related mortality. Mortality means death of animals or humans because of the heat waves. Heat waves causes heat stroke. Next point, moving to the next point, sea level rise. We can see here 3.4 millimeter per year in recent decade. The sea level rise, the level of the sea, that is rising for 3.4 millimeters per year. So because of the melting of ice, melting of the glacier, what happened? The level of the water of the sea, it is risen. What will happen if it will goes on what we call as if the level of the sea rise, then what will happen? It will happen that some cities which are situated on the bank of the some sort of seas, bank of the what we call as bay or oceans, they will kind of submerge. They will submerge and the water level will rise above them. So it will happen. There is some sort of danger of rise in the sea level. All this happening because of the climate change. Next, ocean warming. The top 2000 meter of the ocean have warmed by around 0.3 degrees Celsius since 1955, which is having significant effect on marine ecosystem. So what happens? Next, coral bleaching. So as a zoologist, you might know what is coral and why the coral bleaching happening. So coral and coral bleaching. Bleaching means the discoloration of corals. As we know that corals are some marine organism, cylinder that are found in the sea, which are attached to the substratum. So these are the corals. Warming ocean temperature continue to cause widespread coral bleaching, especially in the Great Barrier Reef. The 2023 coral bleaching event marked another severe bleaching episode affecting over 60% of the coral reef worldwide. So, the warming of ocean temperature, approximately 0.3 degrees Celsius, we have studied in previous slide, we know that. So, ocean rise in the ocean temperature causing widespread coral bleaching. That is coral bleaching, that the color of the coral reefs is becoming white. So it is called as coral bleaching. So coral reefs are very beautiful. These provide shelter to the various fishes, the various aquatic animals, marine animals. But because of the coral bleaching, it is the coral reefs not able to survive in the situation. So look at how sensitive the coral reefs are. Even the 0.3 degrees Celsius rise in the temperature are causing significant effect on the survival of the coral reefs. The 2023 coral bleaching event marked another severe bleaching episode affecting over 60% of the coral reefs worldwide. So rise in the temperature, approximately over 60% of the coral reefs are on the threshold of bleaching. They have already bleached. So during this phase. Next, that is ocean acidification. The absorption of increased carbon dioxide in the ocean has led to a 30% increase in ocean acidity since the beginning of the industrial era. So what is happening? The rise in the temperature and rise in the carbon dioxide in the ocean, that the 30% increase, that when the CO2 is mixed in the water, so what will happen? Dissolve in water. When the gas CO2 dissolve in water, then what is happening? The acidity level of the ocean is increased by approximately 30%. This is causing harm to marine life. So this is causing harm to marine life, especially organisms with calcium carbonate shells like mollusca and corals. So we know that the calcium carbonate it has some sort of basic property. When the acidification takes place, some sort of what we call as bleaching, this process takes place, and the shells of the animals such as molluscans, they becoming damaged more and more because of the increasing the acidity in the ocean. Melting polar ice, loss of glaciers and ice sheets contribute to rising sea levels and disturb freshwater supply. I have already talked about this, that the glaciers and ice sheets, loss of these causes rise in sea level and disrupt freshwater supplies. Next, ecosystem disruption. Shifts in habitat can lead to extinction of species or force them to move. Forest, wetland and coral reefs are particularly vulnerable. So look at what happened. The climate change not only disturbing the individual organism's life, not only it is limited to the marine organism, nor it is limited to the forest or the grassland ecosystem. So this climate change is not affecting to a particular region or a particular area. So it is a global issue. The total ecosystem of the earth, over the worldwide, is affecting because of the climate change. So this causing ecosystem disruption. Disruption is because of climate change. For example, forests, wetlands and coral reefs are particularly vulnerable. So these are the the most threats of the climate change is on the forest, wetland, and coral reefs because of the climate change, because these are more sensitive to climate change. That's why the ecosystem disruption is more vulnerable in this particular forest, wetland, and coral reefs. So along with that, human and moving to the human and social impacts, agriculture threats. For example, changes in precipitation pattern and temperature extreme affect crop yield and livestock. So, for example, changes in precipitation pattern. For example, we are living in the Maharashtra state, and what will happen is the rainfall or the precipitation is comparatively lower than the previous year. So we will not get enough water for drinking. We will not get enough water for our what we call as agriculture. So this will ultimately affect the crop yield and livestock. So for the livestock, this is very important. The precipitation water is essential for not only for the human, but also every living organism requires water for its survival. So these threats are because of climate change. Next, health risk. More heat related illness, vector borne disease like malaria and dengue, and respiratory issues due to air pollution. So what happened because of the climate change? Heat related illness, heat stroke, vector borne diseases, and respiratory issues like air pollution, these are causing because of climate change. Next issue is water scarcity. The changes in rainfall pattern. So these evidences like changes in rainfall patterns and the melting of glacier can impact water availability. That is the fact we have already discussed. Next, migration and displacement. Rising sea level and extreme weather events can displace millions of people, leading to the climate refugees. So what will happen if the sea level increased? Sea level risen. So I have given example, some sort of cities located on the threshold of the sea. So the rise in the temperature will cause the sea level to increase.